Aloha, my name is Joshly Tregaskis, and I am from Snowflake, Arizona originally. It's a really small town up in the mountains of Arizona, but I now live in Hawaii with my husband. We both served our missions here, so when we got married, we decided that we wanted to go back and live in paradise. I have a really, really big family. So I have one older brother, and then I have six little sisters. And my brother just had a baby, so he's the first grandchild. So I now have a nephew, I'm an aunt. And then on top of that, I obviously have my own mother, but some of my little sisters have another mother who I consider as a second mom. So there's a lot of us. And then just 7 months ago, I married my husband. I love him a lot. So we get to start our own family soon, and we're very, very excited for that opportunity as well. So, just to talk about my detailed vision, my vision for our marriage in the future. As I was thinking about how I would never want to raise our voices at each other. I never want to be the couple who yells at each other when they're fighting or hashes out their fights that way. I grew up in that sort of environment, so I don't want to repeat that with my own family. I also always want to support each other. I interviewed my aunt and uncle for a class last year on their marriage, and they talked about how whenever they had a disagreement about the way that one parent disciplined a child or something that one parent said to another child, they would back up their spouse in that instance, and later they would pull their spouse aside and talk about how they disagreed with whatever happened, and then they would talk through that. And I think that that's absolutely great to show your children that you are a united front. So I hope for that in our marriage as well. I also like the idea of more of an egalitarian form of marriage. I know specific gender roles as, like, for example, I don't want to be the only one that will touch a dirty dish, right, or cook dinner, but I also don't want my husband to be the only one that'll take the trash out or mow the lawn. So I like the idea of not really having specific gender roles assigned in that way. Obviously, I still believe that the father should preside over the home, but I think that not having specific gender roles when it comes to raising children or household chores is a great idea. So I hope and see our marriage going in that direction. I also obviously want to be still very deeply in love. And I know that it's not just passion that goes into making a marriage great, but also altruistic love as well, and companionship and friendship. So I want all of that wrapped into one beautiful ball. And then I also want to be very involved with both sides of our family. So I want to be involved with my side and his side, be able to spend holidays with both, never one over the other. So I think that this is a very realistic goal, going back and looking over the marriage myths that were presented in this week's reading. I think that, for example, my needs and my husband's needs will be met outside of our marriage through family members, through friends, through all sorts of those things. I don't think that we're going to be holed away solely relying on each other. I also think that there's going to be lots of communication involved, so it's never keep things to yourself, don't show your spouse how you feel, but not being forced to overshare as well. But I think lots of good communication so that we can be on the same page with our families will be involved. And then I also think that the no 50-50 deal, that's what I already talked about, doing an egalitarian form of marriage, so that it's not, okay, well, I'm giving 50%, you're giving 50%, and this is how this marriage is going to work. But I think that, I hope and expect that we'll both be able to pull our weight, even though some days I might be pulling more weight and some days he might be pulling more weight. It just depends, So I hope that, on days that he's working late, I can cook dinner and do the dishes and vice versa. And then I also think, not just a passionate relationship, but a friendship. So I think that all of my hopes for the future, my ideal vision, is very realistic. And it does account for our weaknesses as well, because I am very fiery and I have little to no patience. So I think that not raising our voices with each other is going to be a great goal and a great vision for us to have. Because I know that my husband, he never raises his voice, so he's able to help keep me in wrap a little bit. So I think that that is a realistic vision as I'm learning more and as he's learning more. Um, and then I think that I also have a tendency to overload myself. I want to work full time, I want to go to school full time, but I also feel guilty when my husband touches a dish or starts the laundry. So I think that that can be a realistic goal that can help us as well. And then my husband is very, very patient, I think, but sometimes he can be a little impatient over certain things. So I think that with this vision that I have, it is realistic, but it is going to be a goal that we can set for ourselves. So it'll take a little bit of work, but it is within reach.